You're listening to the One Step Deeper podcast with your host, Jimmy Moore and Brittany Davis. OneStepDeeperPodcast.com.
Those specs are going to be distracting for me today.
Oh, really? Is that better?
I mean, you wear what you want, but I was just like, my eyes, I hit my head getting back from the dealership where I dropped off my car to get my car seat fixed, and they had pulled the car seat up, and I didn't know that. So I get in the car like I always do, and then it stops me, and I slam. I got a huge knot on the back of my head, and I've not been well since then. I laid down for an hour, and I'm still kind of woozy. So if I'm delirious today, it's the noggin that got busted today.
Are you okay? I mean, I know you're not, but are you okay?
I'm actually not. I'm actually feeling like spacey, which, you know, it kind of goes along with what we're going to talk about today, accepting people right where they are, and ourselves. Like, I'm having to accept, hey, the show must go on. So here we are. But I literally got up 5 minutes ago from laying down because I was just like, maybe it knocked some sense into me finally, Brittany. I am very male, and some of us males need to be hit upside the head. But I think I got hit hard enough for the rest of my life. I don't ever want to. I literally sat in the parking lot for like 10 minutes just going, okay, pain go away, pain go away, pain go away.
Yeah. Well, I know all about that pain stuff and about having to accept pain in your life. And I know about that. Yeah. I'm so sorry that happened, though.
Yeah, because it was so freaky because I didn't have any clue. All they did was, you know what they did? They fixed that seat. And so they were probably like tracking it forward and backwards and didn't remember it's a tall ass guy. We need to pull it all the way back because they had, I mean, it wasn't obvious that it was pulled up. Yeah. I guess just enough that my brain looked at the seat and didn't go anything was wrong. And then I went in and boom, I was like, oh, I'm going to have a knot there for days.
Yeah.
I was close to my mama. She'd kiss it, make it feel better.
Wow, man does that every time he gets into my car. He's like, how do you sit up on the seat like this? I'm like 5 inches shorter than you. That's how.
Yes. So guys, here in episode 32, we are going to talk about accepting people and yourself right where you are. And it's a topic that we what's funny is when we do topics, we've covered a lot of these topics already, like the one we did, a couple weeks ago about narcissism and gaslighting. We've talked about that a lot. And we talk about all these things a lot, but it's good to dedicate whole episodes on just specific topics, which is what we're going to be about, accepting. And this was something that even this morning I was like, what are you feeling today, Brittany? We have things scheduled, but I'm like, what are you feeling? And you're like, this one. I'm like, all right, girl, we got you. We got you. I didn't know I was going to bust my head open, but we got you.
Well, I'll see if I got you today. I'll try to take the front seat.
Yeah, sorry. I was getting a call, and
okay.
Now you're gone. There you go. Yeah, I got a call, so I had to decline.
This episode is it's going great, right?
Well, we've had that recently. You had one where you fell off and then you came back. And what happens is when you go off and come back, it switches the pictures. So I was on the left, now you're on that kind of thing. I don't know what happens with this one. Anyway, we'll roll with it. OneStepDeeperPodcast.com is the website. I'm just going to start, or we're never going to start. That's the official website for this show, you guys. Go check us out over there. You can see all the past episodes as well as listen to all the past episodes. And we're also all over social media. If you need to find us, we are One Step Deeper on both Instagram and Facebook. So go check us out. We do put the video embedded on both IGTV as well as on Facebook on both of those sites as well. We do premiere these episodes on Sundays at 4 p.m. on YouTube, so go check that out as well. Hello to all of our faithful YouTube watchers. Appreciate you guys watching and sharing and commenting. We do read all the comments. So when you leave us a comment, I'll usually respond. And it's something that you address something that Brittany said. Brittany will sometimes get in there and respond as well. So definitely interact with us there. And yeah, what am I forget? Oh, then the Monday. See, I've hit my head. I'm forgetting a few things now. Monday is when the podcast airs. So if you're listening to this crazy episode on Monday on Spotify, Stitcher, Alexa, or Apple, then yeah, you've reached the right place. It is One Step Deeper podcast, the traditional podcast. I love all these other places though that we put this because it lets people have accessibility. And let me give a shout out to one other thing that I do. So the day before this airs on Saturday, I do a little 15-minute snippet, and this is one of Brittany's favorite things that I do is I share just a little taste of the episodes, and I try to find some part of the episode that's really interesting, which I think it's all interesting, but something to kind of get your attention. So if you want to see a taste of it before it airs, it does show up on IGTV, YouTube, as well as Facebook in that tidbit that I do that's 15 minutes long.
Yeah, Brittany's all about those. I love the tidbits because it's like, oh, here's a sample. Like I'm at Sam's getting a little sample, before I buy in bulk, it's like, here's your 15 minutes of what you're going to get over the hour. See if this is up your alley. And then you're like, okay, yep, I like this. Let me listen to the whole episode. I love the tidbits.
I came up with that idea because I was watching some of my favorite YouTube podcasters. They have long podcasts, like 2-3 hours long, kind of like Joe Rogan, but then they'll post like 10 to 15 minutes worth of just part of that episode. And it's so compelling that you kind of go, well, dang, I want to go watch the whole episode now. So and it's worked because we get a lot of people. Tidbits. And some people don't have time for an hour episode, but they'll listen to a 15-minute. And if you get 15 minutes out of our show and it changes your life, then so be it. I think that's, accessibility is what I'm all about.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I love that we're everywhere and have all this. And I love that we've accepted the fact that there are some people who love us on YouTube and some people who love the tidbits, and that's okay. Like, we're just here to be accessible to you guys. And talking about this topic today, let's just go right in. Accepting others where they are and even accepting yourself. This is my topic. Like, this has been on me for the last couple of days, just like, so you guys are caught up to speed when this airs. A couple days ago, I was in some extreme pain from the surgery that I've talked about often here, and it couched me. Something that I hate. I hate being on the couch. I hate not being able to do my regular life. I hate feeling like all of these things and habits that I put in place just get taken from me because of my body. And I have learned the hard way, the crying, the falling apart, the crying to Jimmy, the crying to my therapist. I have to accept where I am and stop fighting it. Because the more I fight against it, the more I push against it, the more miserable I am. But taking it in and just accepting this is just the truth of my life and moving through that just makes me feel more free.
You know what happens though? We set ourselves up into an idealization of who we are. I wrote a post about this recently. Are you what you think you are or what you think you are was kind of the question that I put out there. Nice post. Go check it out. Living Low Carb Man on social media. But the crux of it was, I think sometimes in our mind, we like to paint this kind of idealization of Jimmy, idealization of Brittany, because it's easier to think you're something and kind of fake it till you make it to become that something when you're not actually that something. Yeah. And so then we set ourselves up for not accepting where we are because wait a minute, I'm this. Like for you, I'm gonna you a second because you're gonna do the same thing to me in a minute. But you like to portray that you got your life put together, that you are a strong AF woman, which you are, by the way. I'm not taking that away from you. That I don't know. You portray this persona publicly that makes you look like sometimes, all right, girl's got it figured out. She's got some kids, doing the cool and super mom thing. She has a wonderful love relationship with her husband. Wild man you met a few weeks ago. Everything's hunky dory. You do temper it though by saying, guys, here's the real deal. Like sometimes you do throw that in there, but people would look at you and see the persona of what you're sharing and say, wow, got it figured out, which is not true.
Right.
Because I see the real you, just like you know all my secrets and know the real me. And that as much as we try to present ourselves exactly where we are, we don't always. Partly because we're also protecting ourselves, and some stuff just doesn't need to be said. Let's just put it that way. But it's a challenge because, especially in this public world where you do talk online, we are here talking online to people right now on this show. It's hard to compartmentalize of accepting people when you don't really know the full story because they're not showing you.
Yeah. And I mean, I appreciate everybody who does listen in and follow. And I really try hard to not put on this, I've got it all figured out.
Yeah.
There are certain things in my life that I have worked disgustingly hard on, like ridiculously hard on, to better in my life. I that is just who I am. I like to make things better. I leave nothing unturned in my life. There's no perfect thing in my life, and I'm always like after that pursuit of like, how can I make this situation better? But I try to be raw and real when I can. But the trick with me, and something that I've said about myself a long time ago, was I go quiet. I have to twirl that in here first. Let me twirl that around. And once I get a little bit of a grasp, almost like organizing my thoughts before I say them out loud.
Yes.
And when I get that kind of organized, I'm like, okay, cool. Now I can talk about it. And so the problem with me, like when it's unorganized, it's not that I don't want to share that. It's that I don't know how. Like, I don't even have words on it. After I got home from my therapist session yesterday, like I just sat. Like I had no words. I couldn't put it into words. I couldn't describe it to anybody. I was just like, oh, it just happened, you know? And it was in that twirling in my brain of starting to accept every hard thing that he said to me. And also like we dove into the part I thought we'd hit last, but you know, that's how we go here. And him and I just kind of uncovered a couple of those things of accepting not just myself, but accepting other people and accepting where they are. And, you know, you and I have done this in our relationship of you hate when I go quiet and I love being quiet.
Hate it. It's the one thing, silence is screaming in my head.
Yeah.
And it's also isolation and abandonment and all that. And you know, here's the funny part. We are so opposite in this way.
Yeah.
Because when you go quiet, I go crazy. And not just you, any of my friends. Although I'll tell you, it's just you. Yeah, we'll go with that so that you feel better. But then when you go quiet, that's like your happy place and you're solemn. But so we both have to play this game of, and you did this, by the way, I want to brag on you. Guys, in the midst of her being in that turmoil of I don't know what to think, I don't want to talk, I want to be alone, she sent me a quick text, and Brittany is so sweet. She said, I know you're worried about me, I'm okay, I just need to go through this right now alone. Yeah. I needed that, and you knew that, and you were cognizant of that. I knew you needed to be alone, so what did I do? I left you the fuck alone. I didn't really bother you. I didn't even send you a text thinking about you, nothing. I left you alone. And it's like, that's that mutual respect of knowing where people are and accepting them for where they are. Thank God I've known you a long time now, because I know this about you. You've known me a long time. You've known it about me. And that's why we keep talking about building deep relationships with people, because you don't get to this mutual respect thing. And we still fight it a little bit because I still want to talk and you still don't want to talk. And it just, but like you get better at it when you really know the other person.
Have you experienced the dreaded keto flu? Did you know that most of these symptoms are actually due to your body dumping excess electrolytes? This is where Element comes in. Element is a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything you need and nothing you don't. That means lots of salt with no sugar. Element is formulated to help anyone with their electrolyte needs and is perfectly suited to folks following a keto, low-carb, or paleo diet. Element contains a science-backed electrolyte ratio, 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium, with none of the junk, no sugar, no coloring, no artificial ingredients, no gluten, no fillers, no BS. Everyone needs electrolytes, especially those on low-carb diets, or if you practice intermittent or extended fasting, if you're physically active, or sweat a lot. Add Element today and see how much better you feel and perform. Use the URL drinklmnt.com/Jimmy.
Yeah. And I think this goes into other relationships. I had a specific relationship in mind that there was so much turmoil in that relationship. And recently it's been on the mend. But really what it came down to is neither one of us was willing to accept the truth of the other one. Like we both had flaws within that relationship. And, I'm not going to pick it over here with everybody alive, but basically I had to get to a place in myself where I accepted this person where they were and stopped demanding more from them than they could give me.
Yes, and acceptance does not mean agree with. I think sometimes people accept people where they are. Well, I don't agree with them. That's not the word.
Right.
It just means going, all right, I probably don't agree with this person, but I respect the relationship and I respect who they are and the corner of the universe they've carved out for themselves. And by the way, vice versa, I know this specific person you're talking about, they don't like what you are sometimes about how you present your life. And so, but it's that mutual understanding that, okay, I'm here, you're there, but I'm acknowledging, accepting where you are, even if I don't agree with it personally, because you care about that relationship and that person so much.
Yes. And two, on that, acceptance has to come even before you walk away from a relationship.
Yes.
And also accepting someone for who they are, accepting someone where they are doesn't mean you have to be in their life. If anything, learning, just like last week, we were talking about narcissists. If you know and are aware of a narcissist, 2 episodes ago, if you know and are aware of a narcissist in your life, then you accept that as truth. Okay, I see it. This is information. This person is a narcissist and they're toxic in my life. I'm accepting that as truth. I'm not running from that fact, and I have to walk away. Acceptance is the first step in that.
I accept you that you're a perfectionist. I think it would drive me nuts if I tried to be a perfectionist. I have perfectionist-ish tendencies, especially within my work context, because it makes me good at what I do. But I've seen it manifest in you. And then you've seen me in various ways. I'm just going to throw it to you. What do you see that you accept me in that you're kind of like, Jimmy, what? Is it when I get stressed and kind of get narcissistic like we talked about a couple of weeks ago? Is that kind of one thing you go, all right, I know he's not, I don't like it, but okay, Jimmy, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and you and Wildman kind of have the same reaction to those kind of things, the abandonment, it's stuff from childhood that comes up. And so I can understand it and I can see it and I can take it as data, but sometimes I'm like, really? Again? But I also know that you looking at me and go, really? Again? Perfectionist? Again? Okay, let's do this. So, but we've just it's almost a joke when I'm in my perfectionist freak out brain and when you're in your nobody's talking to me, nobody loves me brain, like I understand. And it's just part of that accepting where we are and knowing that. And awareness, like I think awareness is where acceptance starts. Just being aware that you're like this or that I am.
I just had a thought. Accepting people where they are means accepting the worst version of themselves where they are. Because we like to say, well, when you're this and it's some positive quality, you're easy to love, you're easy to be around, but what we're talking about here today on One Step Deeper is, look, there's going to be times when they're not at their greatest. And that's when accepting them where they are. And by the way, we're also talking about ourselves in this. So even when you aren't feeling it and you're not yourself, you got to accept that's a version of you. And I think I tell you this a lot when when you're kind of in those low moments, I go, Brittany, you're the same girl I know and love as a friend.
Yeah.
Oh, you feel horrible now and you're thinking all these negative thoughts right now about who you are, but you are the same one that does a podcast and you're highly successful at it, and we're writing a book together, and you've got hopes and dreams for a future. That's the same Brittany as this one that's feeling bad about herself, about everything. And so it's easy to love someone the way you want them to be and when they're serving a good purpose for you. It's hard to love and accept someone right where they are when they're not being very nice, not being very desirable, or not being very lovable.
Yeah, so as we always do on this podcast, I'm going to take it one step deeper and get real mean for a second. I'm trying to do this tactfully.
Just say it. You're not going to hurt me.
When you go into a relationship with the words, with the vernacular, with the, well, I'm going to change them.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
Number one, that's going to put yourself through misery. I was going to say miserable and misery.
Or murderer. See, I accept you for your vocabulary faux pas.
Oh my gosh. It's going to put yourself in misery. And also, it's unfair to the other person, because basically what you're telling them is you're not enough for me the way you are. So I'm going to try to change you.
Oh my goodness.
And even if it's a bad thing, like even if it's a bad, and you know me, I don't like that. Even if it's a negative trait in their life that you see on the outside that, oh, you could be better if you would just. You can't pose that to them, number one, because you can't change them. Number two, how unfair is that? I will love you if you change this. How about I will love you, period. And if you can't love somebody for that worst parts of them, then you don't need to be with that person. You can't push those expectations. Expectations fuel frustrations. You can't push expectations onto somebody, say, be this for me because this is what I want. It's unfair. You have to accept them where they are. And if who they are is not what vibes with you, walk away. Don't expect more from them than they can give.
Yeah, and wow, that's a lot of the human interaction problems that I see, the conflicts that show up is, it's like, okay, I like this, this, and this, but I really don't like this, this, and this, and I'm going to change the bad things. And, look, you're a self-growth person. You're all about, doing that. And I think trying to develop and become better, which, by the way, these last 2 years that you've been intensively in my life, I have become better because of you in my life. And so there are things that because you accepted me where I was, but you refused to see me stay in places that you knew were detrimental that I didn't even see till you pointed them out. Then I was starting to work on them and you gave me guidance and da-da-da. And I hope I've done similar for you as well. And so that's how this works. So accepting people doesn't mean that, again, you're accepting the behavior. You're saying, okay, I accept you where you are. And if we develop that kind of relationship, maybe we can talk about things out loud of how we can be even better humans.
Yeah, and believe me, I think the reason why I have so much knowledge on this particular topic is because I spent 27 years of my 28 fighting who I was. And it was only very recently that I stepped fully into some identities within myself. And it was only recently that I was like, maybe I should stop trying to change other people. Very much so in my early 20s, I was this is my box, fit in it, or else. I was that person, which is why I refuse to be that person anymore, because I realized it was me doing that because people did that to me. And that wasn't fair.
Does that, by the way, trigger when you see other people now doing that? Does that trigger your brain to go, you could be so much better?
I try not to look at people with that, I
come on.
I don't know.
Have to see yourself in them. Trust. Okay, I'll be honest. I'll see traits of my old self in other people, and I go, man, I know what that felt like. To always be on eggshells, to always, achieving, but not really feeling like you've achieved anything. Wow, I remember what that felt like, and I hope that they figure it out before it's too late.
Yes, I do that. I do that a lot. Yeah, I think about just all the turmoil I went through, just not accepting who I was. And I think there's another layer to that of we're told who we're supposed to be, between society or parents or this or this or this. And so you can't accept yourself because they tell you to be something that you're not. And so you portray this character almost of, okay, I'm going to be this. And so now you have this persona of a person that you're being, but you can't accept it because it's not who you actually are. It's kind of going a little bit that way. But it's once you start to peel back those layers and become that person that you truly are and become your true self that you begin to accept more and more and more. And then you just get to the point where you're like, I accept myself fully. I am who I am. I am on my way to learning and growing and knowing more. I am a baby. I can't expect a baby to run, and so I am a baby in this area and I'm learning and I'm growing and I'm doing better, but I accept myself at every single stage.
Look, I think a lot of people misunderstand acceptance of yourself and others as complacency, that, well, that's the arrival. No.
Yeah.
When you're going into this mindset, you have to think of it as a growth mindset. Accepting yourself right where you are, accepting others right where you are, is a growth mindset. And if you look at it such as, okay, let's just kind of go to weight, for example. So you might be a certain weight right now.
Yes.
And you're like, and this is what I love about the kind of body positivity movement and accepting yourself where you are. It gives you a good positive frame of mind right now where you are. Now, if you got weight on the body, then you may not feel that. But if you accept yourself where you are, okay, I feel good. I've got energy. My brain health's good. I got the weight, but I've got lots of good things happening. What that does is it kind of puts you in a good frame to grow. Because until you get to that acceptance of where you are, how can you grow?
Yeah, and you have to, talking further on weight, you have to accept where you are. You have to, especially if you're the person, you're like, I've done the walks, I've done the food, I've done the XYZ, and your body still looks the same. Sometimes keep doing those things that make you feel good. Keep doing those things. Don't give up on those things, but maybe tweak here, tweak there. But in the end, you just have to accept where you are. And I have a weird analogy, I always have those. So I accepted recently that I kept saying I was doing the best that I could with this kind of weight thing, taking care of my body. And I was like, nope, I'm really not, because I'm not drinking water. Like, I'm drinking coffee when I wake up. I'm drinking my nootropic drink, and then I'm drinking more coffee, and then I'm drinking an energy drink. Girl, where's your water? Where's your water?
You just had 4 diuretics in a row without any water. By the way, if you do that, you've got to drink 1.5 times the water just to get back to 0, much less your water needs for the day. Just nice tip there, by the way.
Yes, and that's great for everybody. Everybody needs to know that. That's a really good thing. And so, yes, I was surviving off of caffeine because caffeine gives me the dopamine so my brain can work.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, I'm not drinking any water. I need a way to drink water. Well, these little cups like this, I'll suck them down and then forget to fill it up. And I'm like, ooh, coffee. I get distracted. So I accepted that I have a problem drinking water. So I bought this big ass cup, as big as my head, that's half a gallon. And I was like, cool, this is my goal, to get 2 of these a day. That's a gallon. Really just 1.5 of these.
Right.
But I accepted I'm not good at drinking water. Now that I've accepted that, let me find a way to make it better. And so if I said, oh, I'm not good at drinking water, I hate that I'm not good at drinking water, I'm the worst person ever at drinking water, and just go down the spiral, that never fixes anything. That doesn't make it any better. I have to find a solution to make it better. And so I have to accept myself right where I am. Another thing, guys, specifically ladies, your clothes are meant to fit you. You're not meant to fit into clothes, okay? Accept that you need different clothes. Don't cry in your closet with the clothes that don't fit your body anymore. Go get the clothes that fit your body. Your body don't have to fit the clothes. Okay, sorry, I felt like that was a side thing that needed to go in this. Except that it's okay to get a bigger pair of pants. It's really okay.
Did you hear about it was a news story this week where this guy was trying to tell his wife she was fat by buying her clothes that purposely didn't fit, so he could make his point. Now, she got him back, but it was a big news story this week where he bought like a size down and she left his ass. So she didn't accept being disrespected where she was, and she got the hell out of there. He was trying to be funny while trying to tell her she was fat without saying she was fat, but she got the message loud and clear.
I love Wild Man's response when I'm like, honey, I don't like my body is just bigger and I don't like it. He's like, just more for me to to love on. And I'm like, that's why we're going to keep you. That's why we're going to keep you. That's why we like you. But yes.
Yeah, you ladies, you have a lot of those head things. Like guys, we're a little more easygoing about accepting where we are because, quite frankly, we're okay with that. But a lot of girls nitpick, and it makes it hard when you nitpick yourself and you don't accept yourself. It's very hard when you're in that mentality about yourself to now not accept other people where they are. And I'm not saying it's along gender lines. We all have these lines in our life. Let's take Wildman when he was on. I don't respect people that don't work hard. And I was like, yeah, I'm right there with you. And it's like, it's hard to accept people that don't work hard when you run circles around everybody.
Yeah. That is that's a hard one for him, I know, too. I think one for me that I just can't is like, people that just don't want to grow. They're just like, I'm the same since I was a teenager. And I'm like, really? Maybe we should look into that. Like that's probably mine. The ones that are people that's like, this is just who I am. You're just going to have to accept me just like this. Okay, well, I'll accept you, but that don't mean I don't think you should do a little personal development.
Yeah, they need to listen to the One Step Deeper podcast. We hear really good, onestepdeeperpodcast.com. Ching, ching. But yes. It does take work, which is why people watch and listen to our show, because these are things, you don't think about these concepts that we talk about, and especially this one here today of accepting yourself and accepting others right where they are, because it's not the norm. It's not the societal norm. Society tells us you can be better. Society tells us you don't need to accept people. They need to accept you for who you are. But there's no reciprocation. And this idea doesn't work unless everybody's doing it. Yeah. It doesn't fully work because, look, here's how it plays out. Brittany and I, we go and we accept people right where they are. And we accept ourselves right where we are. But then somebody's like, Brittany, that hair, no, honey, no. Or they'll look at me and go, Jimmy, you got to clean up your sartorial, you don't dress very well. No, that's not good. So what happens kind of psychologically when you're accepting, but then others don't accept you? That starts to mess with your head a little bit, where people go, well, why am I the one kind of relinquishing and accepting, and allowing people to then run all over me? Wait a minute, I'm not treating them that way. So then psychologically that calls for a reciprocation of their energy back, and then all this goes to pot.
Real Good Foods is one of the fastest growing frozen food companies in the U.S. Everything they make is nutrient dense, high in protein, low in carbs, and made from real food ingredients. Instead of using processed flours, everything they make is 100% grain-free and gluten-free, which is how they keep their carbs so low. They can be found at Costco, Walmart, Target, Kroger, and in almost every grocery store nationwide. Or you can order online. Check us out today at realgoodfoods.com and at Real Good Foods on social media.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because the person who is accepting and starts that kind of domino of acceptance, if at any point somebody else kind of pushes back on that and they're not being very accepting, I just want to bring out Bianca, you know what I'm saying? It's like, what is wrong with you? I'm trying to accept you. Why are you being a bitch? I'm just like, and I have somebody in my life like that. I'm like, I just want to love people. Like, that's it. Like, I just want to love people, love them where they're at, hold no judgment for them. Why are you pushing back on me about that? Like, I don't understand. Why are you telling me that I'm a bad person because I want to love and accept people where they are?
But sometimes when you accept people right where they are, they don't know what to do with that. Because especially if they're a curmudgeon, especially if they're somebody that's not very lovable, that's not very nice, and they've always felt that. Trust me, when you don't get a lot of positive feedback from people, you know it. And
Yeah.
these people that need acceptance, that need love more than most, they're the ones that when they start to get it, it freaks them out a little bit. And they go, whoa, 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 something's wrong because you're not supposed to like me. What, why are you accepting me? And it probably does do something like this. Could go really deep psychologically if we wanted to do it, but when someone is so used to not getting something and then they get that thing, it messes with their head. They're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. It's kind of like what you've talked about with kids
Yeah.
that trauma, and then they become adults and then they create all this chaos because that's what's comfortable for them. I think sometimes people get so comfortable in their uncomfortability of being an a-hole that when there's somebody that doesn't treat them like an a-hole, they don't know how to handle that. So they become even more of an a-hole towards you when you're trying to accept them where they are.
Yeah, because it's almost like, wait a minute, I was being an asshole to you, so why are you not coming at me? And so then they're like, oh, I gotta come harder. And then if you can, because it's hard, okay, this is when it's just a real test of if you stay at that point where I'm not gonna engage. I'm not gonna engage. I'm not gonna give you that reaction that you're looking for. I'm just gonna accept you right where you are and be understanding and kind. And listen, I'm not saying get run over, guys. Walk away, okay? Walk away. Don't get run over. But, just I'm not gonna have you talk to me like that, but I'm just gonna accept you where you are. That it blows people's minds. And I remember being this way in high school. So I didn't fit in like a specific group. I was in all the groups. I just popped around all the lunch cliques. I didn't, yeah, I had one that I hung out with more, only because we would hang out outside of school, but I didn't have a clique. I didn't fit in any one place because I wanted to make it a point to accept everybody where they were. Like I'm gonna go to you and be like, hey, what you doing today? How you doing? What y'all talking about? And then I would just do that. I still do that, like as an adult. Like I find all these people that I follow on Instagram or now I've got my TikTok and it's doing pretty well. And I got people reaching out to me there and I made several friends through TikTok and we just talk, we just get to know each other, and I love hearing other people where they're at. Like my favorite one-liners, tell me about yourself. Like that's it. That's all I want. Just tell me about yourself. Just tell me anything, whatever, what makes you happy, what makes you tick, what makes you mad, just tell me about yourself because I love to hear people and just give them that acceptance that maybe they never did have. Maybe they never had that. I know mine and your relationship, I haven't had a friendship like this where I can literally call you this morning like, Jimmy, I'm mad at you. and
He
and
was.
you're like,
He was very mad at me this morning.
and Jimmy was like, okay, I hear you. Oh, okay, I'm listening, and he's been able to come back at me that way and be upset with me. But during that time, we just listen. We just listen and accept them where they are. I think that's really important.
And you said something so salient. In the midst of that, when people start coming back at you, when you try to accept them and they're not accepting your acceptance, is staying chill and calm and recognizing what's happening. And you've taught me I need to be more open, that when they're coming back at you like that, it's more of, what's happening in their life? What's making them that way? It's changed my perspective, by the way, when people even like hate comments, because I still get a lot of them. I always kind of go, what's going on in that person's life that they feel like they need to publicly call me fat and whatever else they call me. It really helps. And accepting people where they are doesn't mean you like their behavior, but it does mean you have a heart for them. It's a new way to look at things. And I'm hoping that today's episode's kind of solidifying that for you guys, that when you start accepting people, it helps you accept yourself even more, because there's parts of yourself you keep held back from the public. But as you start accepting people, you just kind of release a hand here, release a hand there, and you start to give more of yourself. And as much as I share of myself, I still don't show the whole self. This little lady here gets the whole self. She knows everything about Jimmy, up, down, in between, no secrets, no nothing. You know everything. But it becomes easier when you start accepting people more and more. It lets you accept yourself even more.
It was, it was a process for you and I. It wasn't just like, boom, we accept each other. It was, you would give a little bit of it, like in the beginning, you would give one of those, and it's almost like, and I would do the same thing where I'd give you this information that I feel like, all right, like testing you out a little bit. What you gonna say to that? And I was like, are you gonna accept it? And I will never forget. I really think there are several things that just made our friendship just that much deeper. But one of the ones I want, and I don't mind talking about it publicly. 2019, in the summer of 2019, I relapsed on bulimia that I had not struggled with for many years. And it was weird timing, and I didn't understand what was going on. And I talked to my husband about it. I wasn't seeing a therapist at the time. And I was confused. And I remember crying my eyes out to Jimmy, because I was like, well, this is either going to do us in or this is going to help me. And so being able to speak with you about something that was so personal and getting no hate, no judgment, no nothing. It was just pure acceptance of, okay, let's figure this out. Where can we go from now? And like, that's important, those kinds of relationships. And I offer that to you, and I offer that to other people of, hey, I'm not trying to judge you where you are. Like, I hold nothing. I just want to help you. And if helping is just me listening, that's what I'm here for. It's in my bio still. It will probably always be in my bio. Like, my DMs are open. I welcome all people. I love to hear from people and just meet them where they are.
Well, and you bring out a good point, and thank you for sharing that. And I'm happy to be there in your life, and I care about you and love you, and that's the point I'm getting at here. You only accept other people when you truly, genuinely love them and care about them. And you can't have a close relationship like Brittany and I have with everybody, nor should you, by the way. That would be exhausting if I had to deal with 1,000 Brittany's in my life. I'd be like, bruh, I need a break. One is plenty. One is more than plenty. Love you. But it goes back to that. You have to have that, at least some level of semblance in your heart of some kindness, compassion, and care for that person you're trying to accept. And look, we're all human. We all have mistakes. We all have bad qualities, but we have good qualities. And I think part of what helps you accept people where they are, including yourself, is to accentuate what redeeming values do you get out of them? What good things do you get out of them? Yeah. And if you can find those things, it makes it a whole lot easier to accept them. It's hard to accept the bad things because you just kind of go, oh, bad, no, unacceptable. But then if you go, well, they have this and this, and okay, yeah, I love all of that about them. So that's worthy of accepting them. And here's the thing, one more thing. When you accept someone, don't be surprised to watch their heart soften and they begin becoming that person that you maybe visualize them as being at their best. I know we talked about Enneagram many months ago, but in there was like the best version of your Enneagram and the worst version of your Enneagram. And I think when you start accepting people, they can move more towards those best qualities. Like you have the perfectionist, but that could be channeled into something good. I have hard work ethic and it could be channeled into something good rather than being these perceived bad things.
Yeah, I love that. Absolutely. The relationship that I was referring to earlier, I think both of us have kind of gotten to a place and even said the words out loud. I literally said the words, all right, I'm going to need you to accept me where I am. I'm going to do my best to accept you where you are. Let's not try to make each other something that we're not. I think that's where the contention is. I want you to be this and you want me to be this, and that's not working out because I'm not going to fit in anybody's box anymore. I'm just not going to.
Right.
And so those expectations just dropped and there's been acceptance. And, you know, it's been weird. It's been weird, but it's been really cool to watch the evolution of the relationship just kind of turn into that pathway that we both wanted all along. But it had to be us pulling our guards down long enough to get to that point.
Having a hard time reaching my goal weight.
Just use Keto Chow, the magical meal replacement that makes keto easy. Prep takes seconds. Just add the fat you want, Keto Chow, water, and shake. And before you know it, you'll be getting rid of the fat you don't want.
I did it.
I can't believe you're finally here.
Jimmy loves ketochow.com.
And this person has surprised you with acceptance of you in ways that you've always wanted, but it didn't happen until you accepted him and he accepted you. And now these things are manifesting. I'm not going to reveal anything, but something happened today that's never happened, but you've always wanted to happen. And you're like, Jimmy, what? And I'm like, acceptance. Both of you.
Yeah,
even,
and I think
even though this person disagrees with you, you disagree with them, kind of basic life stuff. There was that acceptance of each other, and through the acceptance came respect.
yes.
I think that's the word that's happening with this particular relationship in your life. Of he's finally respecting you, and you're respecting him right where you guys are, and in the process of that, respecting your own selves a little more. It's a beautiful thing. When you open this stuff up, you guys, it's fascinating how it changes you and the people around you.
It really is. It's been life-changing to just kind of accept. And, you know, even going into that, it took me accepting me where I was in order to accept him where he was, you know, and just the parts of me that maybe he looked in and was like, you know, and I had to look at that. Maybe I felt called out by it, but when I was like, you know what, this is just who I am. I accept this about me, and just returning that favor for that person. It's been really cool. And two, when we're talking about acceptance, I wanted to bring this up. I know we're getting close to our time here. Also with acceptance, the other side of it, not just accepting those parts, but accept when you have hurt somebody.
Yes.
So yes, you can accept when someone has hurt you, and you can accept that as truth. And that's definitely something we hit on. But accept when you've hurt somebody. Don't fight it. Don't run from it. Don't make excuses for it. Just go, wow, I'm sorry.
But it's human nature to want to defend yourself, because I don't think anybody consciously wants to hurt others. And so when you hear that and you didn't consciously make that choice, some people do have, they're just dicks and they're going to hurt people. But most people that end up hurting somebody, look, I've hurt you. I did today with something I did. And so immediately when you said that, there's that, right inside of you. And it's like, no, hold back, Jay. Like, listen to what she has to say. And you're right. Like, I had to kind of like think that through. And it's anybody. You're right. But that natural inclination to want to defend yourself when you didn't do it on purpose, it's going to pop up. So just fight that, because that's a natural tendency. It's a self-preservation thing. I'm sure there's some psychological term for why our brains do that. But just know, if you respect that other person and trying to accept them where they are, you've got to accept that what they're telling you may be truth. Even if you don't fully believe it in the moment, you have to accept that's their version of the truth that they're saying, and then accept because it's never going to end well if you fight it. It always ends well if you accept it.
Yeah. Absolutely. That was the last thing that I really had on this topic was just um I had to get myself to that point where even if I don't intentionally hurt somebody, that I'm just like, whoa, I'm so sorry. Tell me more. Like, show me how, what, I don't want this to happen again.
Yeah.
And so I've just made myself aware of that. And awareness is that first step to acceptance. And so like, okay, cool, I've hurt you. I'm sorry about that. Let's work through that. And me and Wild Man, we've talked about that a lot. Maybe even in our episode where we were chatting about relationships, we're just like, anytime he hurts me, or I hurt him, and it's not like it's nothing like we're never like malicious towards each other on purpose. Like maybe we say something in a joke or playing around, and it gets heard through different headphones, and it misinterpreted or misheard or what. I don't even want to say misinterpreted, just interpreted in a different way than someone meant it. And there's hurt there. We both just try to take a step back and go, whoa, I didn't mean it this way. I'm so sorry I hurt you. Yeah. So.
Well, and this is one final good point to make while we're wrapping up this episode is when you accept people where they are, it's the version of where they are right now. I think we assume, and this is why family relationships are so hard to break, because they remember the version of you that they have the most vivid memories of. And I remember from my dad, for the longest time, I was just always that kid that was never good enough, that he berated and he beat. And so, yeah, it softened as I became an adult, but I know that he still saw me through that prism. And so it made it difficult for him to accept me where I was now as a highly successful businessman and all the accomplishments that I had. I don't think he ever saw me in that way because he couldn't evolve his thinking that I was a different person. And I constantly was fighting the demons of, this is my abuser. I fought it so hard. I mean, that made it hard to accept him as this new person. And while he was not beating me anymore, because I could actually call the cops and get him arrested now, it was so hard to put myself in the mindset that it's not the same person. I'm not the same person. And yet we were seeing each other through the prism of the worst part of how we view each other, if that makes sense. Like that kind of adds another layer of complexity to accepting people where they are. Make sure you know who they are in the moment, because if you don't know where they are and you don't know the context of things, and you're only going on kind of the last thing you remember about them. And I see this online all the time, by the way. I see people going, well, I'm not going to follow this person because this. And I'm like, they like said they were sorry for that and they've grown and now they're doing amazing work. Oh no, I didn't, because I didn't accept them for where they were. So that's what I'm saying. Like, people do this all the time. And I know they do it about me, because I lost a lot of people that used to follow me, and then, well, he's so hard-nosed about this, and then they'll come back to me, well, you're this, and I'm like, no, I'm not. I haven't been that for 5 years. What are you talking about? So accepting people where they are is seeing their growth, acknowledging their growth, celebrating that they've grown, and then growing with them.
Growing with them. Yeah. Yeah. I love this. This has been great today. I love this topic. It was really well in my life, like this is what I've been going through the last couple of days, accepting myself and those relationships around me, just continuing to grow and foster those with acceptance of where we are right now.
Yeah, we had a totally another topic because Brittany was like, what are we talking about? I'm like, oh, okay, you hadn't even looked at the topic. So, but I was like, what do you want to talk about? What you're passionate about? So this was a good topic. Thank you for bringing this up. And I knew we would have plenty to talk about here in episode 32, accepting others and ourselves right where we are.
Yep.
Good stuff. In the show for us, my dear,
All right. Thank you guys for listening. If you made it this far, again, this is the One Step Deeper podcast. We are so thankful to have you here. You can find us on onestepdeeperpodcast.com, YouTube. We air all the episodes 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over there. That's a video format, obviously, so we're on YouTube. And then if you want audio format, you get that on Mondays, anywhere you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Alexa. Let me not turn her on right now. And then we're on all the socials, Instagram, Facebook. The video format of the podcast are also over there. And you will also get some posts from Jimmy or I, anything that we're thinking about during the week. Through in the week is what I said. Just throw it in the week. You can get some posts there and hear some inspiration from us during the week.
Yeah, we like writing those posts that challenge. And, this show has changed a lot of my own content. Like I'm sharing all kinds of deeper, one step deeper kind of posts. People have loved it, Brittany. And I think reinforcing it with this podcast along with, and you've gone deeper even in your own writing as well, which you were always deep, but you're really kind of honed it in and everything. There's just so much beyond this podcast that if you're not following both of us over on social media, she is becoming.Brittany Lee on both Instagram and TikTok. And then I'm Living Low Carb Man on Instagram, and I just started a TikTok, although I do silly ones. I don't do this deep stuff over there. Jimmy more keto if you're interested. But yeah, it's fun to kind of add a little bit of extra layer beyond the One Step Deeper podcast. But I sure do love this show. I love that I get to do it with my best friend, and I accept you right where you are.
The same. I accept you right where you are, Jimmy.
All right, enough of that sappy shit. We're going to get out of here now. Bye, guys.
OneStepDeeperPodcast.com.